I previously did an Terence Hughes buying guide video on the channel in which I did an excellent impression of Aaron himself in that video. My name is Omar and welcome back to my channel. How are you? I'm fantastic and I'm doing really well. However, a lot of the times Aaron does discontinue a lot of his stuff. If you guys don't know who Terence Hughes is, by the way, he is a fantastic perfumer who runs his own YouTube channel, which has a really unique twist on fragrance reviews in the fact that he is a perfumer himself, so he can go into the technicalities himself and explain to you how a fragrance is constructed much better than a layperson like myself would. He's got a fantastic channel, fantastic personality, really nice guy. He stands for good ethics in his perfumes, he makes his own fragrances, and that's what today's video is about. So that last video became a little bit outdated because Aaron, as I said, discontinues a little of his scents. So I actually reached out to the team myself on Instagram and asked them, could you guys send me over all your fragrances that you currently have, and I will do another updated buying guide. I want to put more people onto Aaron's brand. I feature a lot of his fragrances myself often in my videos, but he stands for creativity, he gives you a lot of great performance, he gives you great ethics in his company and his business values. So if you like beast mode fragrances, you like patchouli, you like oud, and you like thick, soft, creamy musks, then the brand of Terence Hughes is for you. However, I do have my gripes with Aaron's brand that are still similar to what I said in the last buying guide video. A lot of his fragrances I feel overlap and there's too many scents in that regard. I feel like he could streamline down his collection in that way. And also the fact that I feel like some of his fragrances are very similar to already popular scents that exist out there, but they're sort of Aaronified, if that's a word, where it's sort of just his style put onto that original fragrance. He puts his own twist that smells like an Aaron creation, essentially. We're going to put timestamps for every fragrance reviewed here today, guys. I put all the fragrances into 3 different categories. That is the versatile signature category, the evening category, and then the spring summer category. There isn't really a date night category here because, as I said earlier, Aaron's fragrances are beast mode. They're pretty much all at least medium amount projection and all last at least 8 hours. So if I don't mention the longevity or performance of one fragrance as I'm going through this guide, you can presume it's a long-lasting fragrance. Aaron does not cut out his performance at all. Enough of the introduction, let's begin. Our brand Atrium Fragrance's next release will be Mr. Momentum, a happy-go-lucky mint passion fruit blue fragrance which is versatile for all age groups. To get a bottle within the limited pre-order window, which is 5 days at the end of July, make sure you click on the link in the description below to reserve your bottle. Thank you. Have we got our sample of Terence Hughes fragrances? Are we engaged with our higher selves? Let's begin. The everyday signature category. Terence Hughes Homme, which looks like this as a bottle. I'm not gonna get out of my chair and present every single bottle to you guys. They all look very similar. Just so you know, Aaron does a great variety of bottle sizes. He does the 10 mls and the 50 mls, so you can try his fragrances quite easily. That's what I like about him. He really lets you take your time with his creations. They're quite complex and there's a lot to learn about each one. And eventually, if you love the style, you fall in love with his creations anyways. Terence Hughes Homme. Now, this is a fragrance to me, it's very aromatic, creamy, tonka bean based. It's sort of like something you think of with Armani Code, that kind of aromatic creaminess mixed with more vanilla. This is a strong, slightly mature, masculine fragrance. I think this is a cold weather signature in both the autumn and in the winter as well, day and night. This is a sexy cold weather signature. It's quite simplistic, it's quite linear. It has those iconic Terence Hughes thick, creamy musks he likes to use in pretty much all his creations. You know this is going to be long lasting, this is robust, strong. I do think this is a solid starting point for a lot of guys out there. If you like creamy vanillic fragrances like Gucci Guilty Elixir or Armani Code, those kind of vibes, mix those two together, you get Homme. I'd give this a 9 out of 10. Definitely a solid starting point in this buying guide. Terence Hughes Onyx. This is Aaron's take on a standardized rose and oud fragrance. Aaron uses real oud. I think most of the time he uses Thai oud, but he uses several different variations throughout his creations. A lot of the times his oud is not that tricky to understand. It's very high quality but lovable at the same time. You can tell he's using high quality materials. This is long lasting. Wear this in the spring, autumn, winter, 3 out of 4 seasons, day and night. The perfumery is great here, but I just kind of feel like this is very standard for a rose and oud fragrance. I feel like his other creations, he does rose and oud quite frequently. They're more interesting, but this is solid still. I'll still give this an 8 out of 10. 37.9% of people who watch School of Scent are subscribed to us. If you guys really want to see our channel grow, go ahead and click subscribe. Let's get that number to 40%. Thank you. I'll put this one to the camera because this stands out, Onyx Extreme. Now this is what I mean when Aaron goes more into the creative side of Rose and Oud. So this is Onyx, a Rose and Oud standardized DNA in the Aaron Terence Hughes style, thick, creamy, musky, good quality but easy to love oud. But then he's made this extra decadent. He's gone all in with fragrance notes like chocolate, vanilla. I think there's some fruity notes in here. This is a beautiful fragrance. I much prefer the Extreme over the original Onyx, and you'd be surprised how balanced this is. And this is a high compliment factor fragrance also. I haven't worn this that many times. It got me a big compliment from the mailbox person that was helping me out, the post office person. This is a big compliment factor fragrance in my opinion. This is a 10 out of 10 easily. Wear this as your signature in the autumn, spring, and the winter time. 3 out of 4 seasons, lasts a really long time. Good, strong amount of projection. A very, very solid signature. One of my favorites from the brand for sure. Aaron Terence Hughes Oud. This again is a more creative oud fragrance from Aaron. I'm not sure if this is rose in there, but there might be a little bit of rose, but it's not really a standard rose and oud fragrance. This is his high quality oud, high quality creamy musk, but now there's an interesting sharpness and interesting freshness in here. Definitely signature material, day and night. 3 out of 4 seasons, excluding the summertime. Lasts a really long time, at least 16 hours. This is beastly. This smells reformulated slightly. I think Aaron did change his suppliers because of previous issues. This smells very similar to the big bottle I used to have. This is sharp oud with a hint of date in there. It's a very unique date note that isn't overwhelming to make this kind of too weird. This is still fresh and balanced, but the hint of date gives it enough uniqueness to make this stand out. Again, another top fragrance in the brand, in my opinion, a 10 out of 10 from me. Aaron Terence Hughes Raw Cherry. When I smell this fragrance, this reminds me of the Cherry series in the private blend line of Tom Ford fragrances, although I would never recommend those fragrances. I think they are overpriced. If you want a masculine cherry fragrance in the niche realm, go for Raw Cherry by Aaron Terence Hughes. This is cherry, dark, a little bit boozy, sharp, oud in here, woody, with a dark chocolate note in here as well, which makes it even more decadent and unique, but still balanced enough to wear this as a signature in 3 out of 4 seasons, excluding the summertime. Long lasting, great projection. I felt like it was an 8 out of 10 when I first smelled this in our last buying guide, but again, I think this has been reformulated. This smells better than what I remember. To me, this is incredibly sexy, incredibly unique, and incredibly creative. It's a 10 out of 10 from me, one of the best from the brand, again, in my opinion. Raw Cherry Extreme. This to me smells a little bit more candied than the original, and it feels like there's a different variety of oud in here. It actually gets a bit sharper on the dry down. I don't like the dry down on this fragrance actually that much, but I still think this is excellent. I personally prefer the original Raw Cherry. I feel like you can wear this as similar in function to the original Raw Cherry. They're both beastly fragrances. I prefer the original a little bit more. I give this a 9 out of 10, whilst the original is still a 10 out of 10. Aaron Terence Hughes Fever. Now I think this is quite a recent release. This to me is a bit of a muddled fragrance. It smells sexy. It's got a little vanilla, tonka bean, those smooth creamy musks, maybe a little bit minty, but it kind of reminds me of Homme, but just a little bit brighter maybe. And I feel like Homme is better blended than this. This, as I said, is just a little bit too base heavy, a little bit too well blended maybe. That's the issue I have with some of Aaron's fragrances. I feel like the blend is too smooth actually. It sometimes actually is a thing with perfumers. They make their blend too smooth to the point where you can't actually pick out notes well enough to really give you the full picture of a fragrance. It kind of becomes all of a blur, and I feel like that's the issue with the original Fever. It's attractive, it performs, it's a signature you wear mainly in the cold weather. I'd give this a 7 out of 10. There's other 2 Fever fragrances in the collection. I will discuss them, but this is not my favorite out of the 3. I think it's just okay. Aaron Terence Hughes Legend. This is Aaron's take on a blue fragrance. It is orange, musky, blue perfumery with those smooth, usual musks that Aaron likes to use. It's not his best work in my opinion actually. I think it's him trying to cater to a style that he does not really go to naturally. He has more of his dark, musky oud style. That's more Aaron's personality. I don't think this is Aaron through and through. I just feel like, you know, you want a blue fragrance in his collection, here's the choice you can go for. You might enjoy it. I think it's easy to like. I think it's solid. It's probably his least well-performing fragrance, one of his lesser well-performing ones, maybe 8 hours with a medium projection, which is not bad at all, but for Aaron, that's one of his lesser performing fragrances, but it's still extremely versatile, easy to understand. I don't think it's particularly sexy. I wouldn't gravitate to this this as one of my top blue fragrances, but I'd still give this an 8 out of 10. It's a solid fragrance. Aaron Terence Hughes Hard Candy. I've already owned this fragrance. I bought this myself, and this is one of my favorites. I keep talking about this fragrance all the time on the channel, as you know. Minty, citrus, strawberry, musky oud perfumery. It's loud, fruity, really easy to love, high compliment factor, and surprising amount of versatility. If you think of something like Ultra Mal, but you want it to be more balanced and niche, I'm not saying they're clones at all, but maybe there's a similar family. People always compare the two. I don't think they're really comparable, but maybe if you want a fruity-esque fragrance like Ultra Mal, but much, much better, Hard Candy is my recommendation. In my opinion, you can wear this on all 4 seasons, pretty much all occasions. Both genders can rock this. This is a 10 out of 10 for me, 12 hours with a medium to loud projection. Aaron Terence Hughes Daddy. This to me smells like Homme had a baby with Guapo, which is a fragrance that's coming later on in this video. It has that thick, creamy tonka vanilla base of Homme mixed with a green apple note, which freshens it up. This has good signature material, a little bit mature, masculine. Wear this mainly in the autumn and winter, day and night. One of the more solid fragrances in the brand. I wouldn't say this is perfect per se. I don't think the blend is mind-blowing, but it's definitely a solid fragrance. I'd give this a 9 out of 10. The evening category. Aaron Terence Hughes Oud Noir. So this is what I mean when Aaron's pretty much copied a fragrance that already existed and just put his style onto it. This is the perfect fragrance for guys who miss Plum Japonais by Tom Ford, which is a discontinued fragrance, which was candied plum and oud. This is that by Aaron. This is candied plum and oud, but using real oud now. I'm not sure if Plum Japonais had real oud. This is real oud, very high quality, fantastic performance. Maybe, yeah, actually, it's not the best performance, maybe 8 hours with a soft to medium projection, so maybe that's not the best for Aaron, but maybe I'm going nose blind. From what I remember, this is a solid performer though, and this is definitely material for replacing Plum Japonais. A really sexy DNA, but of course, Aaron's kind of copying it in my opinion, but hey, I still think this is fantastic. Check this out, 9 out of 10 in my opinion. Aaron Terence Hughes Boss B. This is the only gold bottle, but I'll take it out, it becomes a standard black bottle. Again, to me, this is Black Orchid by Tom Ford, which was one of the biggest inspirations for perfumes for Aaron, from what I understand. He says this in his videos.
This is a very special fragrance to me, and this inspired me so much.
So it smells like Black Orchid Eau de Parfum. Rich, floral, complex, sweet vanillic, dark. This has the chocolate in there. This has other notes which I'm not picking up massively. I get a hint of the coconut in there with a paper strip test, but not really on my skin. This just smells really similar to Black Orchid, but it's Aaron's style. It's a bit more thick. It smells high quality, but again, I don't like the Black Orchid style. I could even bring myself to give this a full wearing, even though it's a gray perfume, it's well blended, it's done nicely, but I just don't like Black Orchid that much anymore. This kind of just goes more extreme into the Black Orchid style. I'm not gonna give him too much credit because I do feel like this really does smell similar to Black Orchid, but if you want Black Orchid done in Aaron's style, go for this. To me, this is a 7 out of 10. Hard Candy Elixir. This smells similar as the original strawberry, oud, musky, balanced citrus, mint perfumery, but Hard Candy Elixir is a bit more dark with patchouli and it smells a little bit more candied out. The hard candy, the candy part is more emphasized here, making this more of a sweet evening fragrance, less versatile than the original. I personally prefer the original, but this is a great way to blend the two fragrances together. The idea is you can kind of take Hard Candy as your daytime scent, and then as the evening comes around 6 p.m. let's say, you can switch to the Hard Candy Elixir. It kind of just all blends smoothly into your skin and complements each other really nicely. This got me a big compliment recently as well, so again, a big compliment factor. I give this a 9 out of 10. Aaron Terence Hughes Notorious. This is what I meant by some of his fragrances overlap too much. Notorious and Hard Candy I feel like are very similar, but Notorious goes in a bit more sweet, thicker style, a bit more of an evening scent. For dates, for example, I think this would work great. This is thick, tonka bean, vanillic, fruity, citrus perfumery, but again, very similar to the Hard Candy series. If you own either of the Hard Candies, I don't think you need this. I'm not sure if this needs to exist whilst Hard Candy is there, but on its own, this is a great scent, incredibly sexy. When it's more in the autumn and winter time, I'd give this an 8 out of 10. Aaron Terence Hughes Luna. This is his rose and oud style darkened up. I actually thought chocolate was a note in this breakdown, but it's not. But then I saw it's a lot of patchouli and rose. To me, to my nose, especially when I'm experimenting as well myself, whenever I mix rose with patchouli, I feel like it gives a chocolate accord, and I feel like Luna smells like that. It's like a darker rose oud fragrance meant for the evening time, autumn and winter only in my opinion. And overall, to me, this doesn't smell spectacular. It's well blended, it's well constructed. I feel like some people will see this as their favorites in his brand. To me, it's not really my style. I feel like he does other rose and oud or oud fragrances in general better than this, but it's a solid fragrance. I'd give this a 7 out of 10. It's still worth trying in my opinion. Aaron Terence Hughes Slut here in my hand right now. This is vanilla, tonka bean toffee, mint, mandarin, something like that. It's again, too similar to hard candy. It's kind of forgettable because of that. I just thought to myself, I was wearing this, that this is kind of overlapping with hard candy hard again. A little bit more brightened out than Notorious, but again, I just feel like Slut, Notorious, hard candy, they're stepping on each other's toes too much. But this is a sexy evening scent. You can wear this on a nice date if you want, and it lasts a long time as well. I'd give this an 8 out of 10. Slut Elixir is the same as the original Slut, but it goes more bass heavy. It's got big, loud vanilla, big, loud tonka bean here. Very fun, lively, a similar function as something like Hard Candy Elixir, but I kind of feel like it's a little bit more differentiated now. I prefer this over the original Slut. If you want a great clubbing fragrance, this could definitely do it. I think this is unisex, perfectly in the middle, great performer, great quality. I'll give this a 9 out of 10, but definitely don't wear this in the springtime. This is only autumn and winter in my opinion. And lastly, in the evening category, Tabac. What's there to say about this fragrance? I've mentioned this several times on the channel as well. This is Tobacco Oud and Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford mixed together, had a baby, made 10 times higher quality and using much better ingredients and much better performance. This used to be called Tobacco Vanilla and Oud, something like that. It has fantastic performance, around 24 hours. One of the best quality tobaccos you'll ever smell. The tobacco leaf here is extremely high quality. It smells like a real cigar. It smells photorealistic in a way. The real oud is being used here, so it's better than the private blend fragrances in my opinion. It's sharp tobacco oud in here with some sweet vanilla to round it out a bit, but it's still sharp and fresh in a way. It's not a super sweet edible fragrance. This is manly, masculine, really creative. One of his best fragrances, absolutely. I always talk about it. This is an easy 10 out of 10. Wear this mainly in the autumn and winter. You can get away with this in the springtime in the evenings, but if you go easy on the trigger only. The spring summer category. Aaron Terence Hughes Guapo. This was Aaron's first vetiver fragrance, and this is not a challenging vetiver at all. This is very bright, clean vetiver, almost as if Parfum de Marly's Percival had a baby with something like, let's say, Terre d'Hermès. This is green apple, ambroxan, and bright, clean vetiver, not the smoky variety in something you'll find like, let's say, Tom Ford's Grey vetiver or Guerlain's vetiver. Smooth, clean, mature, masculine, professional. This is definitely an office-esque fragrance. Definitely can see this working in a workplace, 10 hours of medium projection, very impressive for such a bright freshie. I do feel like it's quite a simplistic fragrance overall. I feel like it's quite linear, but it comes together really nicely. Overall, I'd give Guapo a 9 out of 10. Aaron Terence Hughes Ozone. This to me smells like a very thick, creamy coconut and mint fragrance, almost like a very thick, creamy mojito. If a mojito could become a suntan lotion, that is how I would describe Ozone. This is quite simplistic, but it's still an impressive, long-lasting summer tropical fragrance. I think it's easy to understand. It's an easy dumb reach, unisex. It lasts at least 8 to 10 hours with a medium projection, which is impressive for such a tropical, fresh-smelling fragrance. It's linear. I don't think it's his most impressive work, but I think it's solid overall. I would give this an 8 out of 10. Aaron Terence Hughes Aurora. This is Aaron's take on a jasmine fragrance. If you think of those usual laundry detergent, white musk, jasmine fragrances for the summertime, think of something like 724 by MFK, or let's say Lazy Sunday Morning by Maison Margiela, that kind of vibe. This is that kind of fragrance, because Aaron's style is a bit more thick and creamy, of course. If you like jasmine, you might really enjoy this fragrance. I don't think it's particularly mind-blowing. It smells high quality. It smells more feminine to my nose. Definitely, it's more of a women's fragrance in my opinion, but it's still well made. I know that Aaron did see that recent BBC documentary which exposed that a lot of the jasmine industry actually uses child labor. I know he's very strict on his ethics. I'm not sure if this fragrance will remain in circulation, so just bear that in mind. Not a bad fragrance. Interesting that Aaron took on this style to see what he can do with it. I would give this overall a 7 out of 10. Aaron Terence Hughes Supernova. This is Aaron's Aventus. Basically, this is how I summarize it. He saw Aventus, that style of family, and made his own Aaron twist on it. it. Pineapple, with smoky citrus, with some thick, big, loud, soapy, clean musks in here. That's the Aaron twist in this. And I DM'd the team actually to actually ask about how concentrated this fragrance is because it was so strong off my skin. This is apparently a 35% extracted parfum, which is extremely strong, guys. It's a very thick perfume. I was getting maybe 10 to 12 hours of the medium to loud projection for a summertime freshie. This is kind of insane. I do think it's not that impressive when Aaron kind of just copies a popular fragrance DNA, but I do think this is done really nicely. If you want a big compliment factor fragrance, a great warm weather signature for a really good price as well. I think nowadays you can get it for £100 for a full bottle, which is kind of crazy because of how high quality this is, how great performing this is. This is one of my more favorite fragrances in the brand personally. I just think it works so great as an easy dumb reach in the warm weather. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. Aaron Terence Hughes Blue Fever. This to me smells like Legend had a baby with Supernova. I wore 5 sprays of this to our subway in London called the Tube, and I felt like I was killing myself and everyone around me. It definitely has beastly performance, probably similar to Supernova, but I kind of think the blend here is a mess. For some reason, I just think it's the musks used here. It just smells very soapy, very powerful, but way too synthetic and really clashes with the other notes in this fragrance. I feel like it has a certain idea. I think on the website it's meant to be like an easy dumb reach, but I don't see it. I just think this is just not well executed. I think the idea is there, but I think it's definitely one of his weaker fragrances in his collection. In my opinion, I think Aaron needs to go back to the drawing board with this one. I give this a 5 out of 10. Aaron Terence Hughes Carbon. This is Aaron's molecule minimalist kind of fragrance. It's got some citruses, some ambroxan, and some nice creamy musks that Aaron likes to use. This is his fixative that you put on your skin as a base layer and then put another fragrance on top if you want to improve longevity performance. I don't think any of Aaron's creations needs that. I think they all perform great anyways. This is mainly an ambroxan-based minimalist perfume. Bright, easy to like. I think you can wear this on its own and get compliments with this. I think it works as a unisex fragrance, and whether or not it doesn't affect the scent profile, I think it depends on the fragrance. I think for some fragrances, I've tried Carbon before, it does affect the scent profile of some scents. I don't think it's a universal that it just won't affect anything, but maybe with some fragrances, it won't affect it too much and you can kind of get away with using this as a performance enhancer. Overall, a useful fragrance. I would give this an 8 out of 10. And lastly, Aaron Terence Hughes Red Fever. This has bright red fruits. I think it's raspberry as well as other fruit notes are in here with some bright, soapy, clean musks. Very bright, sexy, and appealing fragrance in my opinion. I think this is probably the best out of the 3 fevers. It smells a little bit floral. It kind of has a slight sunscreen effect to it. It's a very impressive fragrance. I think this is one of the better fragrances in the brand in general. Long-lasting, bright, warm weather fragrance. I give this a 9 out of 10. And also, it's pretty cool. I believe actually Red Fever is Aaron's own signature fragrance. Good choice, Aaron. And that concludes this video, guys. Have you tried any of Aaron's creations yourself? Let us know in the comments down below, guys. What do you think of his perfumery as well as his videos if you just mainly watch his review videos on YouTube? I've picked my personal 5 top favorite from the entire brand, 5 that I don't think I could ever live without from Aaron's creations. For me, those are Raw Cherry, Hard Candy, Tabac, Supernova, and Onyx Extreme. These to me are fantastic, my style, some of the best from his brand. Those are the 5 you can try out. If you want to say it's the Omar Discovery set on Aaron's website, let's say those 5 are what I really recommend. I think Aaron does fantastic perfumery. He is really making big waves on the scene, and I think deservedly so. I wish you all the prosperity and success, Aaron. You're doing great so far. You might be wondering where some other fragrances are on this buying guide, such as Supersonic and Odyssey. I asked the team for all the fragrances they could provide. I never know if Aaron is sometimes discontinuing certain scents or maybe they're out of stock of certain fragrances. Aaron's stuff can be quite tricky to find. If you're in the UK, of course, you can go straight to his website, aaronterencehughes.co.uk. And if you're in the US, I still believe it is Max Aroma, which is the main place that supplies Aaron's work. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our previous video where I react to Aaron picking his favorite fragrances out. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. the spring-summer category.